Good morning, guests and friends of Portfolia, and welcome to our update session this morning. I'm Trish Costello. I'm the CEO and founder of Portfolia. Welcome to you all. And I have with me Brittany Feehan. Brittany, hello.
Hello, hello. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are joining from, maybe evening for some. Welcome. We are happy to have you with us today to talk all things investing, how to invest, and really focusing on women's health. So we're glad you're with us.
And also we have Slayton Carter. Hello, Slayton.
Hello.
Slayton leads
Hi.
our communications and marketing team, and great to have you with us, Slayton.
Yep, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yes, we have a good turnout of people with us today. Most of you are new to Portfolia. I don't know if you're completely new to venture capital investing or perhaps to angel investing, but if you would like to drop in on your in the chat there, your background or experience, where you're coming from, that will give us a little information as well as we move through an overview on Portfolia and on our two open funds, the Women's Health Fund 4 and Rising America Fund 3. I encourage you to jump in at any time and put questions in the chat, or you can put them in the Q&A at any point, and we'll just jump in and answer those questions as well. So think of it as an overview of Portfolia and a little bit of an Ask Me Anything session, and we're happy to answer your questions as long as you have them and as we move forward. So I'm just going to take a quick look here. Brittany, do we also have any members on with us today?
Not today, all brand new.
All right, great. We were just together last week in New York, our full team, and nearly 200 guests and members who came together to really look at women's health overall and be a part of our Women's Health Summit. We had 12 of our companies, the founders, with us, and had a series of different inputs and panels and presentations, fireside chats. And that's the type of thing that we do with Portfolia. We're really here to look at an activated community of individual investors backing the companies that we want in the world. Portfolia was one of the first venture capital funds that opened itself to individual investors. And now, 8 years later, we have over 2,000 investors across 50 states and 20 countries. So it is one of the largest, if not the largest, community of investors, individual investors in venture capital. We have created 15 venture capital funds since that time and 20 direct investment vehicles. And we have made over 200 investments to date. We are the largest and most active investor in women's health on the globe with over 46 investments. And we created the first venture capital in women's health, and that was in 2018, the first venture capital fund. So that's a little bit generally about Portfolia. We'll go into a little more detail. But first, for those of you who are fairly new or completely new to venture capital or even angel investment, I'm just going to talk just for a minute or two about what venture capital is, so we're all starting at kind of that same point. What I want you to know, if you're new to venture capital, is that Portfolia was designed for you, is designed for you as a new person in the space, as well as for those who are experienced. You're in good hands. I have been in venture capital for over 30 years and created the Kauffman Fellows Program, which is the still premier global training program for venture capitalists. Over 800 partners in the venture capital field globally have gone through Kaufman Fellows. So my partners all have many years of experience. Our average years of experience in our partners that lead the funds is over 15 years. So you are with a group of um, very seasoned professionals, and we have built Portfolia so that you can learn about venture capital as you're investing, and you can be an integral part of the process. So what is venture capital? Just in a two sentences, it's when professional partners like ourselves invite in other investors, limited partners, or members, as we call them, to pool our money into a fund and use that money to invest in a portfolio, a diversified portfolio of companies. In our case, we'll invest a fund in somewhere between 10 and 18 different companies. And our goal and our mission and charge is to both provide you a venture level return, a venture capital level return in, over, 5 to 7 to 10 years in a portfolio of really great, amazing high-tech companies. So your money is going into entrepreneurial, very exciting entrepreneurial companies. And we're providing the fuel to enable those companies to grow and create new products and solutions that don't exist today. Friends, every big institution, every pension fund, every university, and most family offices, anyone that's professionally managed money is going to have a position in venture capital. And why is that? It's risky, for an asset class, it's considered more risky, but it creates wealth beyond what other kinds of vehicles create. So that's venture capital in a nutshell. And I am happy to jump in at any point in our call today. If anything that we say is not clear, or you have other questions, or you want to go deeper. As I said, our goal is to educate you, to bring you along, to actually activate your knowledge and expertise to make all of our investing more successful. So Brittany, I think we're going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to pull up, friends, a PowerPoint deck. We're going to go through a few slides. And again, don't let that stop you at all if there are questions that you have and you would like to go deeper. So let me do a quick share here and move this.
And as Trisha's pulling this up, I know she mentioned this, but a couple more people joined. Feel free to ping in where you're joining from. If this would be your first investment in venture, maybe you're experienced and you have, a lot of portfolio or VC investments in your portfolio, which we would love to hear. So ping that in. Again, anything that pops up, there is no silly question. We would love to cover it. So use the chat, and we will be sure to answer those questions.
And if you want to, you can just send your questions in just to the host and panelists if you don't want everyone to see them. So whatever you're comfortable with. We want to make venture capital and investing accessible to everyone. So, and we have investors that put millions of dollars into our funds, many of them that are retired venture capital partners, as well as brand new people investing with the first $10,000 check, and all are welcome to be a part of our portfolio funds. So we're going to be talking right now about Portfolio's Women's Health Fund 4. We do have two funds open now. We'll talk a little bit about Rising America Fund 3 as well. These are all part of our 15 funds that we've created, and these are the two funds currently open to new investors. And as we go through, we'll talk a little more about that. So just to give you an overview of the Portfolia Women's Health Fund 4, it backs category defining solutions across the full spectrum of women's health, from earliest stage seed companies all the way to pre-IPO companies all across the US. It's a huge market and a very exciting opportunity. But to just take a step back and look at it, I just made that change. Slayton, I pushed this one over and I see where you had it now. So we're going to go up just a little bit and talk about what makes Portfolia different. Then I'll go in a little deeper on the Portfolia Women's Health Fund. So Portfolia is quite a unique investing fund, quite a unique investing model. We built it because I wanted to create a way for significant numbers of member investors to come in and have an experience of investing, as well as getting the kinds of returns that you would expect. So it has a very unique investing experience. You can come on every month in the fund that you're in. Come on every month if you would like. Those dates are set up 18 months in advance, and you can watch the company's pitch to the partners, just as we're seeing them, seeing them often for the first time. Now, we're often following them, but you're seeing their first pitch. So you can be there. Many people refer to it as Smart Shark Tank because it does feel like a Shark Tank. They're going to pitch for 7 minutes. Their partners are going to ask them questions. You can put your questions in the chat. And so you have an opportunity to see those first pitches. When those companies finish their pitches, and there's usually 2 or 3, they go off and you're on with the partners of the fund. You're hearing the partners mix up what they like and what they don't like, kind of mix up that conversation. They often have different views on the companies. They'll talk about what's strong about them, where their weak points are, how they measure up to others that they know are in the marketplace, and whether or not they might want to take them forward to diligence. You, as well as a member, have an opportunity to vote on whether you want to see them go to diligence. So you can see them at that very beginning. We will often take as well up to 8 people from the partnership, from the members, onto a diligence team. So you actually see what it's like behind the curtain, making those decisions, evaluating companies, and moving them forward. Friends, I can tell you, after working with hundreds of venture capital funds, you could put $20 million to work in a typical fund, personally investing. You will never get behind the curtain. You'll never be at the table seeing how it works. So that's one of the most important things that makes Portfolia different. The other is that we are led by world-class partners. Every fund has a thesis. They're all different, and each of them are led by 5 to 6 partners who are experts in that space. And they're also there and understand that they're there to bring venture, make it accessible. So they can talk both venture speak with the best of them, and they can make what they do and how they think accessible to new investors. You are part of a community. We've already talked about there are 2,000 members across the country and across the world. Many of us, almost 200 of us, got together in New York last week. We get together in San Francisco and all throughout the country. So you're a part of a community, part of an investing network that's quite sophisticated. And then finally, these companies change the world in every one of our areas. In women's health, we'll talk more about that. These are emerging, best of class companies with top science, top technologies, who are going to have an impact and a legacy, many of them, for generations to come. And Brittany, when I get going, you have to stop me if you see any questions coming in. I am leading the PowerPoint today, so I won't necessarily see. So you jump in with any of the questions, Brittany, as we go.
Will do.
So as I've told you, we are the leading investor in women's health in the world. We have made over 100 investments in 46 healthcare companies. When we look at health, we see three different areas. We have now had multiple women's health funds, three in women's health, another two in active aging and longevity. And in our first funds, we could only focus on conditions that only affect women: fertility, menopause, pregnancy, childbirth, gynecological cancers. Today, we do all of that still, and we're still the leader in that space, but we also look at and invest in conditions that affect women differently. The big one is heart disease. We, when we have heart disease, are quite different in how we experience that than men. And over 40% of the times that women present with heart disease in the ER, it's not even recognized initially. So things like heart disease, mental health, addiction, allergies, dementia, all impact women differently than men. And then conditions that impact us disproportionately: autoimmune diseases, 80% more likely to affect women than men. Osteoporosis, osteopenia, lung cancer is now one of the big cancers that are affecting women way disproportionately. So we invest across all of these types of spaces. They're critically important for us as as we focus in those companies. Now, remember, friends, we're investing for returns first and impact as well. So in all cases, we are both looking to provide those returns and have an outsized impact in our work. What makes us in our funds so successful is the partners. Here are the 5 partners in the Women's Health Fund 4. 4 of these partners have been in Women's Health Funds 1, 2, and 3, or our Femtech Funds 1, 2, and 3. Sonia Arison has been in our prior active aging and longevity funds. We've kind of put those two together here. Dr. Faz Bashki, Dr. Faz Bashi. We have another one of our entrepreneurs with a last name of Bashki we'll talk about, but Dr. Faz was one of the first MDs in angel investing. He was one of the leaders of Life Science Angels, one of the most active investors in women's health when we started in 2018, on the Angel Capital Association board, and one of the leaders of Life Science Angels. Nola Masterson, we pulled out of retirement, one of the most successful life science venture capitalists, one of the first bioanalyst on Wall Street, later worked for three venture capital funds, and took her own healthcare fund, or I'm sorry, her own healthcare company public. So as an IPO all the way back in the 80s, just a top investor. Jennifer Freed is a practitioner and an operator, has been the CEO of multiple companies, often working within the hospital setting in women's health, and also specializes in childbirth, postpartum, fertility as well. She's in Chicago. Nola and Faz are in Silicon Valley, as is Sonia, who is one of the world's experts and visionaries and futurists on longevity, and has brought in some of the top companies in the longevity space. And then finally, Delphine O'Rourke in Philadelphia, a lawyer, a strategist, an expert in the regulatory field. Regulatory is huge in women's health and in healthcare overall. And we're so pleased to be able to have Delphine with us in this fund as well. So this is where the magic happens, friends. You want to have great partners who have a unique deal flow. For every investment we make, we have another 100 in our pipeline that are amazing companies. We have over 1,000 companies in our women's health pipeline, partly because we were the first investors in a fund focused in women's health, and we're the most active. So we see almost every investment from the very earliest to later stages in women's health. And we have the enviable position of needing to choose among those companies to put together the perfect portfolio of companies that are highly impactful and will deliver a return. Now, oftentimes when you invest in a venture fund, you don't know who those companies are. In this case, we have made the first two investments in this fund, so you have an opportunity to see what those first two companies are. And I love both of these companies. If you go on our website, you can also see hour-long interviews of both of these companies. But I'm going to give you the 2-minute overview. Your choice is the first male birth control pill. This is the first male birth control pill. We invested initially in 2022 before they were even in human trials, before they had even started primate trials. But we had been following Akash Bashki for years. We knew that if the first male birth control pill was ready to go out, we were going to be writing that first check. We have. He's now gone through all of the regulatory, now in phase 3 humans. And we are getting really excited that we're going to see this product in the market in the next couple of years. And it's a wonderful company and a great team. This is a Series A where we've invested. So it was de-risked in earlier funds. It's a Series A, a little later stage investment that we made here. And then the other, Gamito. And I think we have a video I'm going to show you on Gamito. It's just a few minutes that I think will be really interesting for you. But Gamito is basically creating an egg development platform for IVF outside of the body. So think of it as an ovary development platform in a petri dish. Not only is this amazing technology, but it's already been approved in 3 other countries, now going through approval in the US, and 9 babies have already been born by this system. It's way easier for the woman's body. Instead of 12 to 14 shots, there's just a couple of injections. It's easier on our body, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's more successful. So really revolutionizing what's happening with IVF.
1 in 5 couples, heterosexual couples, have infertility. Even more same-sex couples rely on science to build their families. Only minority of those ever access assisted reproductive technologies. Not even half of those end up getting a baby.
The process of going through an IVF clinic is a 2-week injections and 5 ultrasound visits and regular checkups and blood work because it's all happening inside the patient's body. The idea of Fertilo, the product of Gamito, is to make that process happen outside of the woman's body, ex vivo.
We have tried as a field in the past to extract immature eggs, and the efficiency of that is not very good because it's very hard to replicate the environment that happens in the ovary. Fertilo basically is a product that is comprised of highly engineered cells that mimic ovarian cells that support the egg in its maturation phase. And what Fertilo does, it allows those immature eggs to mature in a very efficient way outside the ovary. So we like to refer to Fertilo in layman's term as an ovary in a dish.
Fertilo is just a quicker way to achieve your objective, which is to have a baby. Fertilo is also a much quicker and easier way to preserve your fertility, to have babies later in life.
Our phase 3 trial that we are here right now at one of the study sites in Houston was actually one of the first, if not the first, of any phase 3 trial for induced pluripotent stem cell technology.
I and our clinical research team have been involved in clinical trials that involve in vitro fertilization for over 20 years. We think that the Fertilo clinical trial is very exciting. It provides new technology to in vitro fertilization, which can potentially decrease the risk to patients, increase the access to IVF, and hopefully improve the outcome of in vitro fertilization.
In December of last year, we welcomed the first Bertilo baby to the world. It was a very emotional moment. It's really seeing your idea and everything you work on every day come to life. We're truly trying to build treatments with cutting edge science that we robustly test through clinical trials for safety, but also the solutions that we want to see out there. We want to use. We want them for ourselves, for our sisters, our mothers, our friends. If nobody else is doing it, sometimes you gotta try and do it yourself.
And that's exactly how we feel. And that's why we created Portfolia, is that we saw so many amazing investment opportunities that were not getting backed. And partly it was because these were in women's health, and very, very few VCs, venture capitalists today invest in women's health. In fact, of all the healthcare dollars and venture capital going to work today, only 2% of that goes to women's health. So we decided to do it ourselves as well. And that has resulted in over two of our companies are already billion-dollar companies. About another half dozen are right behind that as $2 billion companies. I've already talked about your choice, so we're going to go ahead and move past that one. But before I hit Rising America, let me just say that our women's health funds, of which we've had generally 3 femtech funds, 2 active aging and longevity funds, the projected return, because this is about returns as well as impact, the projected return on those funds right now, on average, is 2.85x. So that means that for every dollar that was invested today, that dollar is worth $2.84 projected. So you cannot, of course, make your decisions on the future based on what's happened in the past. We all know that very famous saying is past performance is not indicative necessarily of future success. But the women's health space is one of the largest markets, over $600 billion market. We're the leaders in the market, and there's very, very few people that come close to us in that space. I do want to also let you know that we have the Rising America Fund 3 that is open. Rising America over indexes for people of color and emerging markets, and it invests a significant amount of money as well in the healthcare space. Many of you here today are interested in the healthcare space. Rising America 3 is also made an investment in your choice. We do let our separate funds are run by different people, and as long as a company meets both of those thesis spaces, they can invest in the same company. And so Rising America is also invested in our audience favorite of your choice, the male birth control pill. It is and that's a Series A. It's invested in Mirvi, a Series C, and that is focused on preeclampsia. And that's so important because preeclampsia is the leading cause of death or adverse outcomes during pregnancy for women. And African American women are 3.5 times more likely to die in childbirth, even controlling for income and education. So Mirvi is a really important company. And then finally, Backpack, which is mental health for children. And it's working in the Medicaid markets, which are enormous. And that's a Series A, and just a great team, very exciting opportunity. Let me tell you that the Rising America funds are our highest performing funds. Rising America 1 is in the top 2% of all venture capital funds, all 1,800 of them that were created in 2019. So returns are important to us, friends. Impact, critically important to us as well. I believe that our funds are leaving a legacy as well as creating wealth. I'm going to tell you just a couple of other things that are not covered in here. You can invest. So the average investment's about $35,000. Investments range from $10,000 to over $1 million by individual investors into our funds. Especially with new investors, you're welcome to come in at a lower level, dip your toe in, see what it's all about. You're also welcome to come into two funds. Diversification is critically important in venture capital. If you're an angel investor investing in individual companies, the Kauffman Foundation has proven that you need to be in at least 30 different investments for the greatest likelihood of positive returns. So you can come into both funds. They're going to invest in somewhere between 10 and 18 investments and really get a deep diversification in the space pretty quickly. So minimum of 10,000. You do need to be accredited or qualified. Those are SEC regulations. Accredited means that you have an income of $200,000, or if you want to count with a partner, $300,000 together, or you have $1 million in assets minus your home. Qualified means that you have over $5 million of investable assets. So one of those two categories, it's a little different, but one of those two categories you need to be in to be able to invest. And then I think the last thing is you can come in. We try to make the agreement as simple and understandable as possible. It does have about a 20-page detailed thesis on it, so you know all about the market. And I've just summarized that here. But we try to work it out so that you can come in 15 minutes or less, you can sign your documents, electronically and become an investor. And Brittany, I think the Women's Health Fund next call pitch event that you would be able to attend is 2 weeks from today. I know
Yes,
that
it is on the 12th of November. It'll be at 9:30 PT. So all of our Women's Health Fund pitch calls fall on the second Wednesday of every month, and our Rising America pitch calls fall on the first Wednesday of every month. And I am also pinging in documents. So I will label this first set as qualified purchaser. I pinged in the definition here for you to look at. Just click whichever documents are applicable to you. When you open these up, this will walk you through a lot of the things that Trish has covered. So the thesis of the fund, portfolio terms, past performance, fund partner bios, all of that good stuff. And I'll ping in my cell phone as well. So that way, if you have questions when reviewing your documents or you want to talk through the investment opportunity, I'd be happy to hop on a quick call with you.
Oh, and I should also tell you, you can use your IRA. So if you would like to use your IRA to invest, you can definitely do that. If you have an IRA already set up that's not self-directed, we can assist you. We have people that we work with, and it's a fairly painless process. If you're setting up a new IRA, that you're wanting to get in now to deal with, the taxes for the end of the year, you can do that really quickly. And we have people we've worked with for years that we know well and that can assist you with that. For those of you that have DAFs, that's donor advised funds, that's philanthropic dollars, you can use a DAF to invest as well. And the important, one of the important things that I want to say to you all is that these companies that are dealing with preeclampsia, with ovarian cancer, with Willow Breast Pump, Maven Clinic, Everly Health, all 46 of these companies that we've invested in, many of those companies, OsteoBoost, the osteoporosis company, Lighthouse Pharma, the dementia company, they would not exist today without our investments. So if you're thinking about this and believe that women's health is an important issue for you, just get started. Just get started and become an investor, and you'll have an opportunity to see what it's like very quickly here. I know Rising America, their next call is also in 2 weeks, Brittany.
It's the first Wednesday of November, so it will fall on November 5th at 9:30 PT.
So get started, and even with a small amount, if that's your comfort level. And what I'm going to tell you is that you'll pretty quickly realize that you know how this works. So here's Brittany's telephone number. You can reach her directly on her mobile, or you can email her at Investor Relations. If there are any other questions that come up, don't hesitate to ask. And what questions are you seeing now, Brittany?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. These are good ones. Can you talk about two things? I think this is really applicable to when you mentioned the Kauffman Foundation. So for those who are not familiar, if you can just talk about what that is, and how a lot of our fund partners and the teams are put together with your experience from Kauffman, and then also how many investments in each fund we will see typically on average.
Yes, so investments in each fund, you're going to see somewhere between 10 and 18 investments. It really has to do with how many of those are early stage. You can see on these I believe were Series A and a Series C on these. And so those are usually a little bigger investments, so we do fewer, but we will be doing seed, and those are usually a little smaller, and you'll see more in, you know, a larger number of those small investments. I think you said something about Kauffman Fellows.
Yes, just your experience there and kind of walk us through. I mean, I know you're more humble about this, but the biggest piece to our success here at Portfolia is ensuring that we have the right team to put together the right portfolio. And so I would say arguably that's the most important decision that Trish makes when creating a fund, is choosing these fund partners to deploy the capital. And I think it really is due to your experience at Kauffman Fellows. If you just want to share a little piece about that and how you incorporate it in choosing that team.
Yes, so it is always the people, friends. It is always the people when you're looking at partners, when you're looking at what funds to invest in. If you're looking at other venture capital funds, you need to look at the partners, and you need to make sure that they are experienced venture capital investors, that they know what they're doing, that they have done this for years, that they have their own, you know, that we have deal flow that's, you know, coming into us. And that's what we have. I mean, my job is to put together the dream team. And I just realized we didn't have the partners in Rising America. That's the dream team too. So I am looking at always putting together, I think maybe we did and I didn't cover it, always putting together the dream team of partners with every fund, the very best of class group of investors. So you know that, and so my days, I led the Kauffman Fellows. I'm the founder. It's over 30 years ago now that I created it, led it for the first 12 years, and then ran a fund of funds that we grew to $1.4 billion for them. So I've had the wonderful opportunity to assist hundreds of people in their venture capital careers. And we're able to bring the very best in to be a part of our venture capital fund as partners. So it's, you know, that's a critical piece that you always want to look at. I also see there's a question here from Patricia about the overall fund performance metrics, if you're able to share. And yes, Patricia, we have those in all of the documents, but Active Aging 1 is projected at 2.78x, Femtech 1, 3.1x, Femtech 2, 2.8x, Active Aging 2, 2.7x. Femtech 3 was just fully invested a couple months ago, so we don't have numbers yet on it. It's still too young. But I will tell you, and Rising America, I don't have those in front of me, but I believe Rising America's first fund net IRR is right at just short of 30%. So I think it's 29.4%.
Yeah, currently we're seeing, I mean, this was obviously as our last report, so that IRR gross is looking at 39.25% with a 3.20 times the money. So if that's easier for you to digest for those who are newer to the space. And Rising America 2, we just made our final investment in September of 2024. So very, very early days for the fund. And we are seeing a gross TVPI of 1.23 times the money.
So the one thing I will tell you is that we do institutional grade reporting. And so every year, our accountants, we create, we go in and we're always following the valuation and increases and decreases of the companies. And then annually, the accountants go in, outside accountants, and create performance reports. And those are out usually by April the 1st of the following year. You do get K1s for Portfolia funds. Those are always out before March 15th of every year. That's when they're due. So you do get those as well. And we do, when your fund is investing, you're in on a monthly cadence. So you don't have to be there live every month. They're all recorded. You have a member dashboard. You can go on and watch the recording, or you can just read up on what's investments we've made. But so you can be as involved as you like. And then quarterly, there's updates on the investments for the funds. And then annually, that's when you get the big printed reports as well. A lot more detail on this. Yes. So any of those questions, we're happy, to go in and go into more detail about. And Brittany can also take you, I'm going to do a stop share. Brittany can also take you, we don't really have time to do that today, but into the member kind of gated area for members and show you what a member would see. And it has a list of every company, the date in which we made the investment, what it was worth then, what it's worth today. So you always, have access to that. Transparency is very important. As you can see, when we invite you in to meet the companies, from the very beginning or to attend events. So it's not only important to us that we're able to help you activate your money around the companies that you want, but that you become confident about how the venture capital process works. Friends, venture capital uses a lot of lingo, just like a lot of other professions. And oftentimes that can cause you to think that this is mysterious or that you have to have, a Harvard MBA to understand venture capital. You do not. And you do need to be sophisticated, and we do assist you with that. But this is about markets. It's about solutions. It's about gaps. It's about evaluating teams. It's about evaluating markets and whether that team can take you into the market. And a number of people tell me that they love Portfolia as much for the intellectual pursuit of being involved in seeing these great companies as they do the returns. And I try to remind everyone, returns are why you invest. That's what makes it investment and not philanthropy. But I think it's important for you to understand it and be able to talk about it if you want. You can just write us out a check if you would prefer, and that you have an opportunity to be a part of the community. So thank you for everything. It looks like there's a couple additional questions. Brittany, do you want to pull out any additional questions?
I think we covered them all. I was slacking or putting some stuff in Zoom. So I also put my meeting link. If you want to hop on and screen share, I can walk you through the member portal. It's always great to see that back end and you have an idea of just reporting that's accessible, recordings that are accessible. So it's a lot of great educational content. So happy to walk you through that, or feel free to text or call me, whatever is easiest for you.
Yes, and if you do want to use an IRA, let Brittany know and she'll get you to the right people. She'll walk you through the documents first because, of course, they're the underlying agreement, and then get you to the right people so you can do it through an IRA. Slayton, is there anything we're missing? What would you like to add before we sign off?
Oh yeah, I think it's been covered very well. I think like the what I would just add is like, we heard it in New York last week, but the time is now to invest, really. We have a lot of things that are going on in the world, and some of those are not so great for women's health. So if there's a time and if you're kind of on the fence, I would say now is the time to put dollars into these funds because these companies rely on investment dollars to grow and to prosper. Some of them are, like as Trish mentioned, we do a very good job of managing risk. But some of them are, early stage companies that really do need the funding. Um, and they will grow and they will prosper, but they need the funding now. So that's all I would kind of leave this group with.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
important, Slayton.
I think too, one takeaway that we heard from an entrepreneur last week, one of our founders said, this is something that she was so passionate about, and she started it in her basement. She put everything on the line and started this in her basement. And it is so true to what Slayton's saying, that if we don't bring capital to the table, these companies cannot leave their basement. It's always an idea. And these are things that truly will change, not just your lives, but future generations. So it's important. We need the capital to continue to enhance women's health, and we're doing everything we can here, but we need the help of our investors.
Like Dina said, she wanted the product, and so she needed to create it for herself. So thank you all. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Slayton.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk soon.
All right.